The year is 1991. The place is Imperial Court's housing projects. Even though it was fall, the atmosphere was warm and festive. Even though we were entering into a 4-year bitter war between the PJ Watts Crips and the Grape Street Watts Crips. Gang war, we had become accustomed to the ways of war, but even in the middle of this type of lifestyle, life was cool in Imperial Courts. Life was cool until tragedy struck. This tragedy would take away our vivacious vibes and replace it with a mourning spirit. November the 19th, 1991, Tiny and 2 of his friends would be ambushed by trigger-happy police officers. The police officers would see Tiny and know that it's him and began to shoot. In this shooting, Tiny would be shot 5 times in the back. The assassination of Tiny became the catalyst and the motivation for the Imperial Court's housing projects known as the PJs to be willing to start facilitating ceasefire or peace talks with other gangs in the community of Watts. When Tiny was assassinated, they took a father, an uncle, a cousin, a fearless community leader, an astute thinker, and turned him into a martyr. The assassination of Tiny is the reason why the PJs was willing to let their guards down and begin to facilitate cordial talks, which will ultimately lead to the Truce and Deuce. Rest in peace to Tiny. Tiny the Great. Tiny the Mortal. Tiny the Amazing.
Why you smile so much? I'm like, there really ain't too much to say. But Tiny know we looking over him, man. You know what I mean? That's all we can say. Tiny looking over us. I can't get too deep into it, man, because you know.
I understand.
It's like that right now, you know?
Yeah. Right on.
Day before Peco, he was killed. He was murdered by the Los Angeles Police Department, who claims that he had a gun and fired upon them, but no gun was ever found. Before he was murdered, one of the officers who shot him had told us, we were standing up joking on the corner one day, and she just pulled up and said, "Y'all know it's King's X." And I turned to her and I said, "You know, what is that? What that mean?" You know, and she said it means anything goes. You know, she was referring to an incident that happened the day before that, in which somebody had shot down the street where she was at doing an investigation. Somebody had shot down the street and the bullet went through her windshield. So she was saying until she found the person who did this, it was King's X, and that meant anything goes. But, you know, we laughed it off and paid it no mind. And then the next day, I wasn't there when the incident took place, but when I came in, and it was all dark and windy, and I seen one of my younger homeboys, and he was crying, and he said, "They killed the homeboy. They killed the homeboy." Me, I'm saying who? Because I'm saying, you know, never in my wildest dream am I thinking it's T out there, you know what I'm saying? I'm never thinking that. I'm saying who? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, who? And he say Tiny. Automatically, you know, because there was another Tiny in the project, so I'm saying, who, Tucson? He said, no, Tiny. And I mean, you know what I'm saying, I didn't know what to do. I ran over there to see was he alive, you know, just to see was he breathing, was there anything that could be done. And you know, it was black, and the police had the flashlights and everything, and the wind was blowing, and they was pointing guns, get back, you know. And I seen him over there on the ground. I didn't get too close to him.
What I went through, from the death of my nephew and the sentencing of my son, and the trial to imprison my daughter and Henry Peco's sister and my other niece, I would never want this to happen to anybody.
Even though the Rodney King beating was the highlight of 1991, you can't forget about the murder of Henry Peco and Latasha Harling. 1991 was a traumatic year. With these police-involved shootings, we still had gang-related homicides, poverty-stricken conditions, and all the other things that we deal with in these destitute communities. The city of Los Angeles was like a boiling pot.
White jury
And the
saw it
contents
another
was
way.
getting ready to
We
boil
would
over.
like to say that this experience has been an extremely difficult and stressful one which we have all agonized over a great deal.
And now it has exploded into a city out of control.
In 1992, Los Angeles was burn, baby, burn. Due to community hostilities, racial disparity, racial discrimination, and police brutality, blacks had had enough. And in that moment, they had made a decision to stand up and burn this bitch to the ground. The media outlets criticize and condemn blacks, as well as community activists who were in bed with the Los Angeles Police Department and other government officials. They said all we did was burn down our own community, but we weren't the ones that was predominantly owning the convenience stores, the local markets, the local watering holes. It was all owned by foreigners. But one thing that it did, it drove black businesses up, because the only businesses that were standing after the riots were those who are owned by blacks. Tired. And the way that they showed and displayed their unity was by unifying, putting the red and the blue to the side, and burning that motherfucking city down. Stay tuned for part 2, how the peace treaty started.